What is going on, folks, and welcome into another edition of On the Record presented by CalledIt. I'm Danny Burke, your host. Thrilled to be with you per usual as we talk some of the biggest markets throughout these prediction platforms for the next half hour or so. I'll be joined by Adam Kaufman, who's going to be back in the mix. Always a pleasure to talk with Adam. And then, of course, Cormac United. Man, he's got plenty of thoughts when it comes to last night's game between the USA and Belgium. I'm half excited, but obviously half bittersweet to get his thoughts because I'm bummed out the United States didn't advance, but certainly pumped to hear what Cormac's got to say about that performance last night. Furthermore, we'll also be talking about today's daily call. This is going to be a new start of our challenge, which we label The Run, where we look to turn $250 all the way into $1 million throughout the course of 12 different trades rolled over continuously. Now, unfortunately, it did conclude last night because the United States and Belgium did not end in a tie at the end of regulation. Far from it. Far from it. But that's where the pot of over $5,400 was all put on, was for that match to end in a draw to really get some steam heading up. But unfortunately, the U.S. did not play their part. So the run starts back on over to trade number one, and with a stake of $250, which will be put on today's daily call, which you can see earlier than us talking about it here on the program. All you got to do is head to www.CalledIt.media. You can sign up. It's completely free. Just put in your email. You get the daily call. And not only that, you can voice your opinion and see how you stack up amongst the rest of the community. See what kind of streak you have, what percentage you're hitting. It's all good competitive fun, and we're excited to hear from you at CalledIt.media. And also, I know we're doing a giveaway in the Twitch chat, so make sure you have your voice heard there and make sure you get active so you can win some CalledIt gear. I know the crew has been repping it left and right. Some awesome stuff. Sweatshirts, shirts, hats, all that cool gear. Make sure you hop on Twitch and get qualified to get some free gear. But let's go ahead and bring in our crew for today's program. We've got Adam Kaufman back from vacation at Adam M. Kaufman, where you can catch him on the socials. Adam's sporting the soccer gear right now. Adam, how are we doing? Happy as always to have you back in the saddle.
Well, wishing I was back on vacation because things were going well for the American soccer team while we were watching along from afar. But yeah, look, I'm happy. I'm good. It's nice to be back with you. Obviously, I'm frustrated, because now we know how it goes, especially from a rating standpoint. Like all across the country, the people that pretended to be soccer fans for the last few weeks are now going to go about their business because Team USA has been eliminated. And look, the Americans, as much as it was a dream, they weren't going to win this thing. We recognize that. But I really did believe, I had talked myself in, Danny, to believing that we were going to get ourselves at least to Friday and that date with Spain. And man, can they get out of the quarterfinal round and all this stuff? I really kind of thought that, I don't know, we were in Belgium's head, so to speak, after, getting Flo Balogun back out there, and that everything was going to be okay. And already the United States were favored to win the thing to begin with. And, from there, just couldn't take care of business. We can't even rig the thing right. The president calls the head of FIFA trying to get this thing turned in the right direction. We can't do that. Can't even show up after the fact. So it was discouraging.
Yeah, discouraging to say the least. And I know our other pal here, Cormac, was certainly discouraged at Cormac_United, where you can follow him on TikTok and Instagram. Cormac, take it away. Here's your chance to completely rant and rave about what transpired on the pitch last night. Tell us your thoughts, my friend.
I am so disappointed. Not only because that was a shambolic performance, but because I know that we're better than that. Like, you know what? Okay. That was the same team. The team that I saw yesterday was the same team that I've seen all my life playing for the U.S. All my life. When we finally get to the big game, we crumble. But the difference is that this year, this World Cup, before that, we were playing beautiful football. We were playing beautiful, attacking football. And then against Belgium, look, if we go out and we play our football and we lose, so be it. I don't care about the scoreline. We could have lost 4-0 for all I care. That's not the important part. But we went out there and we played submissive, passive, boring football. It was horrible. We did not try to attack. And that is what kills me. It's not the result. Okay, if we lose to Belgium, Belgium are a better team than us. They're a better team than us. It's the way that we lost them as well. And more than anything else, I would like to make a formal apology. Mauricio Pochettino, my friend, I am so sorry for what you've had to go through here, because that was disgusting. I understand that you've coached some brilliant football in your time as the head coach or the manager of the United States men's national team. And what you saw yesterday was a lack of desire, intensity, effort, just everything about that performance was disgusting from the players on the pitch. I don't attribute anything about that loss to you, Mauricio. Thank you very much for your contributions to the United States men's national team. You have given me the best U.S. tournament that I've ever seen. And unfortunately, it ended in the way it did. But again, we don't blame you. We're going to get you citizenship as soon as possible. Donald Trump is going to go through all that pain and effort. He better at least secure citizenship for you, Mauricio. And yeah, disgusting display from the U.S. yesterday.
Yep. Any negative adjective that anybody wants to utilize to describe that performance is appropriate. I mean, it was disgusting on both ends, particularly the defense. I mean, it just looked like a nation that was ill prepared for the spotlight, especially with all the controversy surrounding it, and to no avail for this United States team, which is, of course, a disappointment every year they get eliminated, but especially with the hype surrounding them and them being a host nation, it's tough. But hey, Cormac, we still got some excitement to look forward to with plenty on the pitch, which of course is what's going to circulate around our daily call. The crew at Called It giving out their one singular trade for the day. And again, if you head to the website, CalledIt.media, you can let your opinion be known. If you decide to agree with it, decide to go in another direction, or put in a different trade altogether, this is all available to you at www.calledit.media. But today's trade is going to revolve around the match between Switzerland and Colombia. This is going to be a thriller is what we're expecting. I mean, Colombia has been a feisty team. Switzerland has been improving for sure, and they have been a feisty squad to watch in their own right. And as you look at Kelsey right now, for regulation time, Colombia to win, 43 cents is what it's trading at. Now, to end in a tie, 32%, and Switzerland to win in regulation, 27%. If you scroll up, though, and you just look at the squads to advance, Switzerland's at 40%, Colombia's at 60%, but the team at Called It, they are riding with Colombia to advance, and they are trading that at 43%. So that is coinciding with Colombia in regulation time. 43 cents is what they traded to start over our challenge of the run, $250 to be invested on that. They believe the true chances for Colombia to win in regulation should be trading actually at 46%. This comes out to American odds of 43% label, which it's currently at plus 123. But again, a 3% edge is what the team at Called It believes is on Colombia for their match today against the Switzerland team. Cormac, I'm going to throw it right back to you. What did you think when you saw this call? Because I'm a little shocked here. I'm not going to lie. I'll save my thoughts till the end, but I'm a little surprised this is the call today.
Look, this is what I can say to you. I think that Colombia are the truth. I honestly, from watching them so far, especially, I watch them against Uzbekistan. And given Uzbekistan's they're not the strongest team in the competition or strongest team out of the competition, but I was so impressed. And the thing that I will say with Colombia is this. The way that they play is tournament football. They play knockout tournament football because, first off, defensively, they are unbelievable. I think they have 3 clean sheets, the third best in the World Cup. Some teams who have been eliminated already, and they still have more clean sheets than them. Okay, but most importantly, XG. They have conceded 2.7 XG throughout the whole tournament. It's the 5th best. 2 of the teams are eliminated that have better XG, so they've played less matches, obviously. I think they are so solid defensively, and a big part of that comes to the fact that, look, everything that I criticize the United States for, everything that the United States did poorly in not running, showing a lack of effort, showing a lack of enthusiasm, desire, it would be blasphemy to say that about this Colombia team, because this Colombia team, they are some of the hardest workers I've ever seen. And that's not to take away from all the talent that they possess, but that's just to say that if you need a team who are going to go out there, every single player on their team is going to go out there and give you 120% every match, Colombia is your team. And that's what it takes to win matches. I mean, let's not forget, okay, given Paraguay get knocked out by France, but it took a penalty from the best attacking side in international football. It took a penalty because they played that type of football. They play defensive football, and when they get their chances, they're going to take them. I think offensively, with the likes of, I mean, mainly, if we're going to be honest, James Rodriguez, 2014 James Rodriguez is one thing. 2026 James Rodriguez, maybe not so much. But Lucho Diaz, oh my word, Lucho Diaz is so good. The things that I've seen, I think that he is very suited for international football. I think today Switzerland are in for a shock. And I think Colombia, not only do I believe Colombia will win, I think they're going to win in some fashion as well. I think Switzerland are going to... They're going to be sent home disrespectfully. Man. That's all I can say.
I mean, look, Cormac, I hate to go against you. You know, you've been crushing it per usual. But the Swiss team, I've liked what I've seen. I think the regulation time just scares me a little bit too. But I get it. Colombia's been a fascinating watch. They're put together very well. So I kind of lean toward the value with the Swiss. And it's not like I have an insane amount of conviction. I just don't know if I have as much on Colombia as the crew at CalledIt does. So I'm a bit scared here, Adam. Let's get your thoughts. So Cormac likes to call. He likes Colombia. I'm leaning towards Swiss. Where are you sitting here?
I was a little surprised when I saw this one. You know, of the three options, obviously Colombia, Swiss, and a draw, I think this would have been the last one that I would have chosen. Yeah. For me, it's Swiss, draw, Colombia. I like the Swiss in this matchup. I don't think it's going to be overwhelming. You know, to me, if I'm looking at maybe a call that I have the most conviction in, it's probably under 2.5, a grinded out defensive battle, that kind of thing. But, you know, you're talking, Cormac, about the various metrics. And, you know, while it's true that Colombia has put considerably more shots, you know, not on target, but shots in general, you know, toward the net anyway, throughout this tournament, as compared to the Swiss, it's a differential of about 20 between the two. The quality chances favor the Swiss. It's been lower quality chances on the part of Colombia. And you mentioned the Golden Boot winner from, you know, over a decade ago at this point. James Rodriguez is playing like James Rodriguez here in this tournament. Guy over the last two games has been pulled halftime and in the second half. He's clearly, I'm not knocking him. He's just not right. He's clearly not right. We can go on and on about Christian Pulisic and whether he no-showed for Team USA or whether it was the injuries that he obviously dealt with throughout the entire tournament run, including getting knocked out of that one last night. Sometimes some of your better players, or even best players in certain cases, just aren't up to snuff. They just aren't what they're supposed to be. So if this is a low-scoring, grinded-out defensive battle, a physical battle, I think that favors the Swiss. And look, these are both solid teams. These are both group winners. They both had some decent competition in their groups. We saw the Swiss have to get by Canada. We saw, obviously, Colombia have to get by your guys, Portugal, Cormac. But ultimately, I think we're looking at a Swiss team that is, one, hasn't lost in 10 straight competitive matches. That's a big deal. And on top of that, I just think that, I don't know, it seems to be, as the tournament has gone on, a little more in its bag, in its groove. And so I like the Swiss in a lower scoring match today, and that's where I'm going to be investing. So much as I hate to go against the daily call, especially on trade number 1 of the run, that's what I'm doing today.
It's going to be trade number none for you, my friend, because I will say, you bring up James or maybe James Rodriguez, and I do see what you're saying, because I also agree that it's not the James Rodriguez of 2014. But I think the important thing to remember is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Colombians out there can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think people believe that James Rodriguez is that player. Like, I don't think anyone's under the impression that James Rodriguez is Colombia's best player, or that he's going to carry Colombia. James Rodriguez is one of, if not the most famous Colombian in the world. Colombia loves James Rodriguez. If anything, the reason that James Rodriguez is at this tournament is for his presence, for what he means to that country, for what he's given that country, and maybe not so much the player that he is today. And so for that reason, you say, oh, he comes off at halftime. But then when you have the likes of Cucho Hernandez, who's going to come in off the bench and give you an absolute 10 out of 10, work his butt off, that's what you want. That's what you want. So I actually think Colombia, again, they're a team that will if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. They will take a mile. And you talk about the shots. That's because, and this is part of the reason I love Colombia, and they're a very entertaining football team to watch, is because they take shots. They're not afraid to hit you from the most ridiculous shot that you would never consider. But when it works, hey, man, what are you going to say? Like, Cabell, you're in for a night tonight. You're in for a night. Never, ever can Cabell kind of turn off a little bit, because if he does, just like that, Colombia will hit you on the break. They'll hit you with a random pot shot you never dreamed of. And so I think Colombia are going to play compelling, attacking football when they get the opportunities. And when it comes to defending today, oh my word, they're going to be on top of things. They are going to be on top of things. I promise you this. Look, can I guarantee you who's going to win this game? Of course not. I will be mind-boggledly blown if somehow Switzerland run more distance than Colombia. I mean, I'm telling you right now, there is 0% chance that Switzerland will run more than Colombia tonight. No chance.
I will say this, Danny, the crowd for Colombia is probably going to be more of a factor than that of the Swiss crowd. I mean, we've seen that throughout the tournament, the sea of yellow out there, and just how noisy and rowdy this group is. And I say that in a complimentary way, by the way. That's good. That's what you want. You want your nation to be behind you and making an impact, and the Seattle Seahawks 12th man, if you will. I mean, hell, the Americans had that last night, didn't make a difference because of their play. But if Colombia can keep this thing, even, keep it level for a while, and it's just one of those situations where eventually kind of the dam breaks, that goes in Colombia's favor. What I would like to see ultimately, if on my side of things, if we can get a goal, not early, I'm not talking first 10, 15 minutes, but sometime in the first half. If the Swiss could go into the break up 1-0, I think that could be enough. I know we're only talking about one goal, but I think that could be enough to just sort of control the tempo and the momentum. If this thing is in fact, a draw at the break, or Colombia's ahead by one, at that point, maybe I would be concerned.
If Colombia scores first, Switzerland, when you go up for halftime, just leave the stadium. Leave the stadium. I promise you, leave the stadium, because what you're going to see, mate, Paraguay is going to look like the most beautiful game, the most beautiful playing of the game you've ever seen compared to what Colombia will do to Switzerland. They are going to, oh my, it will be beautiful in some right. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, I can't go against Colombia. I just think that they're too compelling for me. And Switzerland, I've not been so impressed by Switzerland, if I'm honest. They drew with Qatar. And I know that, obviously the best teams pick up steam throughout the tournament, but I just don't see it. And then when I look at Colombia, coming into this tournament, Colombia have something to prove. Let's not forget, at the last Copa America, Colombia, I don't want to say they were favorites, but they were one of the favorites for sure. And they had something to play for. And I feel like they a little bit, I mean, obviously every team that loses lets their country down, quote unquote. But I think Colombia specifically, heading into that Copa America, when they had an incredible winning streak going into the tournament, a lot of hype was on that Colombia team. And then when they didn't live up to that expectation, that hype, I think now this is their moment where they don't maybe have as much hype. They're coming now to remind everybody why they had that hype, to remind everybody that Colombia is here to play. So I think Colombia is going to impress not only in this match, but I think furthermore throughout the tournament, Colombia is going to turn heads.
All right. Big Colombian fan now that Portugal's out of this tournament is Cormac. And he's sprouting the Swiss colors right now. So this guy's all over the place, but he loves Colombia.
Whoa. Manchester United, not Switzerland.
Oh, hey, either way, he loves Colombia. You've heard both perspectives. Adam's on the side of Switzerland. I tend to agree with Adam here. I like what I've seen from the Swiss team, but let's be honest. Yes, if they go down, it's going to be tough sledding, as it is for any team, but especially against a team the caliber of Colombia with that raucous crowd and just a team they put together. But should be a really fun game to watch unfold. The Daily Call is siding with Colombia to overcome Switzerland, but especially in regulation. So not just to advance, because that's obviously a steeper price that you have to trade on for Colombia to advance at about 60%, but at 43% in regulation for Colombia to overcome the Swiss. That is what trade number one of the new setup for the run is going to be put on. They believe it should be at 46%. Cormac's on the same page. Adam and I, not so much. Adam, I guess it's better that we disagree on trade number 1 as opposed to like trade number 6, though, right? Might as well get it going at the beginning of this thing, so then we can.
And with the pattern of this thing, I'm starting to think we should keep our money after trade number 6.
That's fair. That's also, we're starting to notice. We're starting to notice. Keep tabs once we get on trade number 6. All right, guys. Well, let's take a move on and look at the first match today, which is actually happening at noon Eastern. This is Argentina and Egypt, which with some of the talent out there could be a fun one, but the market's telling you otherwise in terms of what the probabilities are. Argentina to advance is at 85%, Egypt at 15%. Cormac, I mean, Argentina with quite the scare against Cape Verde in the last game, one of the best games of the tournament. Is that more an indication of what this team has become, or is that going to serve as a wake-up call for Argentina, and you think they'll just be full force, full throttle, and completely control this game?
I think it's maybe a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both, right? Because I think in some ways that's telling. The fact that, look, everybody has off matches, and at the end of the day, the most important thing is getting the win, getting over the line. And I think that's something that Argentina has done very well. They're a team that kind of plays to the level of their opponent in some ways, where I feel like at times when they play against the top sides, they play like a top side. And when they play against some of the lower sides, let's not forget in the last World Cup, I think in their opening match, they lost to Saudi Arabia in a pretty horrible loss. So I think as much as obviously Cape Verde, they were underdogs, they also deserve to get to where they were. Let's not forget, it's a team that drew with Spain. They didn't allow Spain to score against them. So it's not as though they're just some make-a-wish that found their way into the World Cup. They qualified for the World Cup like every other team. So I think that with Argentina, look, I'm one who always underestimates Argentina, and I'm one who's always disappointed. Now, thankfully for me today, I will say this is a beautiful thing here. Mohamed Salah and Lionel Messi, two of my least favorite players in the world. So either way, I get a smile on my face when one of them's knocked out. We'll get tears no matter what. So I'm happy for that. But realistically, I just think Argentina have the quality. Mo Salah is not the player he once was, and I just think even like Marmoush, I don't think has been amazing, would be another standout for Egypt. I don't think Egypt will have what it takes to get over the line. I'd be happy if they prove me wrong, honestly. I think that would be a great story, but realistically, I do think that Argentina will roll on. Maybe when you talk about Cape Verde and how that maybe showed some frailty, some weaknesses in their side, I can see that hurting them later on if they come up against a Norway, against England. That's where I think that might come into play. But I think for now, yeah, Argentina should have not the hardest time today, I don't think.
Adam, what say you?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I thought the Americans were going to beat Belgium last night, so let me start by saying, what the hell do I know? But I tend to agree with what Cormac is saying in that Argentina should have a relatively comfortable multi-goal win today, whether that's the -1.5, 2, even 2.5, take them to win 3-0. I'm going to be a little bit surprised if Egypt even gets on the board in this one. And I think if Egypt does, it's because of a mistake in transition, fast break the other way. It's off a corner kick. It's a foul that leads to a penalty. It's that kind of thing. It's not going to be tactical precision, which is how some of these better clubs like in Argentina finds the back of the net. And what's interesting, as Cormac said, Salah obviously is not the Salah of old, and Messi is balling out like he's playing against MLS competition. I mean, we talked about him going into the tourney as a potential Golden Boot winner, and he is right there at the top of the board with Mbappe. And the thing about watching just some of the chalk in this tournament is ultimately, whether it's right out of the chute or as the game moves along and you really need it, these countries that have these top caliber players, they're leaning in on them, as you would expect, whether it's Argentina and Messi, France and Mbappe, obviously Norway and Holland, Kane with England. You'll notice I didn't say Portugal and Ronaldo. These top players here are delivering when they absolutely have to, and I expect Messi to do so once again today. So people are going to be looking at him to score, to be involved, to put multiple shots on target, all of that. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he gets them on the board relatively early. They're going to be, again, deferring to the top of the chart, if you will. Now, that can be dangerous. It can be scary when you're too reliant on one guy. There are certainly points in time where, I'm watching some of these matches and thinking to myself, man, if I mean, I'll use Argentina as an example. If Messi doesn't score, who the hell is going to? I mean, at a point, he had literally every goal for this team. But even still, this matchup, like Argentina is going to run into its issues as the tournament moves along. We're narrowing the field, obviously. We're trying to get these these squads into the group of 8 quarterfinals. But, right now, I'm maybe I will be mistaken, and maybe I will have a little less money in my wallet at the end of the day. I hope not. But I don't envision this being a particularly tough day for Argentina.
Cormac, you like that little subtle jab from Adam? He's poking the
Yeah.
bear.
I don't know why we're giving Ronaldo an unforeseen stray, especially because, let's be honest here, it's one thing to play Egypt. It's another thing to play Spain. Let's not act like these are equals. Ronaldo scored against Croatia. Messi scored against Algeria. These are not the same level here. Let's be serious. Now, that being said, I will say, look, I just think that this is, I'm not going to say it's rigged. Although some would. But if you look at Argentina's route to the final, I mean, again, this should be, there's not much to say today. Honestly, I think that Egypt have already overperformed their expectations to make it this far. And so, yeah, I mean, it would be amazing. If they honestly continue through, that would be the story of the tournament, I think, so far. That's incredible. If they take out Argentina, I'm going to have to look at investing into an Egypt kit. I can't lie. But you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. We'll see what happens today. I think that Mo Salah is going to have a tough game today. And that's not me saying that as a hater. I just think that Argentina, for what they are a good defensive team. And I think that defend they will, and Mo Salah will have a rough game. But who knows? Maybe he'll prove me wrong. He's done it before.
Cormac, if somehow Argentina does fall in this game, they fall victim to Egypt, is this going to be the last we see of Messi at the World Cup?
100%. There's zero doubt in my mind. 100%. I mean, I think it was already an indicator for me is the fact that he had already gone to the MLS. Like the fact that he's already playing at the MLS, like let's be serious. Ronaldo playing at 41 was out of ego. It's out of pride. It's not because he has any right to be playing at that age. That being said, I don't think Messi will do that. And I don't think Messi has a reason to do that. I think Ronaldo has a reason to do that. I don't think Messi does realistically. And so honestly, I wouldn't even be shocked if he leaves this World Cup as a winner or as a loser. And either way, he resigns from international football. That would not be a shock to me at all.
Adam, does he still have anything left in the tank?
What's he going to do with his time? Go home to his gorgeous wife and beautiful children, an amazing life? Yeah, listen, I think that Messi actually is going to continue to play. I do. Now, a lot can happen in 4 years, as we know. So it's not like it's this lock. But I don't think you're going to get from, you knew, and 41 is a big part of it too. You knew that Ronaldo, whether it was age, play, the combination of the two, you knew that this was going to be the end for him, and he said as much. I think some people, at least to a degree, were maybe a little bit surprised that at mid-30s, Neymar decided, okay, I'm done with the international competition. But then you go somewhere in the middle, age-wise, obviously a little closer to Ronaldo, and you have Messi. But the thing is, again, Messi is still delivering. He looks like he is having an absolute blast out there, and he is scoring every game, and he is helping to carry this team. And again, we're still talking about Argentina as a team that has the ability to win the World Cup. And so, if they have a long, deep competitive run, they fall a little bit short, and, I don't know, he runs out of gas toward the end. I don't think there's going to be any sort of announcement of this was it, I'm done. Maybe if they win, he rides off into the sunset, so to speak, like a lot of people thought, maybe Matthew Stafford would if the Rams had won the Super Bowl last year, that type of thing. But I think if Argentina does fall short and Messi continues to play well along the way, he's going to have, he's going to take his time, and that may be years. He's going to take his time to determine, okay, am I up for another go at this? Do I have what's required to, not embarrass myself and go out and continue to play at the level that I expect from myself? The greats, and he is a great, Ronaldo's a great, again, he went north of 40. The true greats, Tom Brady, like he still talks about how give him a month, he could go out there on the field and play right now for an NFL team. These guys have trouble walking away. They have trouble letting go.
Okay, two things. First off, American football, respectfully, is not the same
Not remotely.
as football because the level of even just cardio that you have to keep up. I mean, you can't. Here's my thing. My question for you, Adam Kaufman. Do you believe that 42-year-old Messi will be playing at the 2030 World Cup?
Do I believe it? No. But I don't think he has decided that he is done.
Yeah, I agree with Adam because he's still arguably playing as one of the best right now in the World Cup. So it doesn't need to be an immediate thing. There's no rush to him saying it. Realistically, he probably will not, but I don't think we're going to hear it until a further date. So I kind of lean into that approach to this argument. Like if they lose, I don't think it's going to be some big announcement right after the game or in the coming weeks. I think it would be in about a year or two when we find out about it. That's how I would envision it.
But Neymar did it. Neymar immediately retired after the World Cup. And he's younger than Messi.
Yeah, but how is he
playing so
he's
much
not
better?
Playing at Messi's level.
Yeah, but Neymar's been injured. Neymar hardly played because of injury.
Well, he had to retire then. I mean, I guess it was expected. You know, he can't stay.
Yeah, but Messi. Look, again, you guys know I'm not a fan of Messi. Messi has nothing else to prove. He has nothing else to prove. True. Neymar had something to prove. I think Messi is not going to continue to play, not because of anything else. Look, this is very famous. In the words of Jamie Carragher, and as much as this was a miss when he said it about Carlos Casemiro, I think that there's a lot of truth to what he said in the fact that leave the football before the football leaves you. Lionel Messi, I am under no impression that the football has left Messi, but you always want to leave on a high. You don't want to leave on a low. And so for me, Messi's already had a successful World Cup because Argentina, realistically, Messi doesn't need to win a World Cup to prove anything.
He doesn't have to prove anything to anybody, but you got to remember some of these guys, you're right. Some do want to leave on a high. They don't want to be embarrassed, but some are, and there are better examples probably, but this is literally the first one that popped into my mind. Shaquille O'Neal played until the bitter end, and it looked disgusting at the end. And there are lots of guys, yes, different sport, but there are lots of guys across sports that have fallen into that category that they love it so much, even if there's nothing else individually or team-wise to prove, because you're right, there's nothing that Messi could accomplish that he hasn't already individually or as a collective. But some guys just have trouble letting go because they love it so much. And they've done nothing else. Like it's all they know. Like this is what their world has always been for decades, and they want to do it literally until the wheels fall off.
Yeah, these guys are crazy, Cormac. That's how they got to the stage that they're at. Some of them just want. I mean, it's their favorite thing, of course. So incredibly passionate about it. They're obsessed about it. It just, I think at this point, with how everything's advanced, with how these athletes are taking care of themselves, it wouldn't be surprising if he did. I don't think he's going to, but I also don't believe we're going to hear an announcement for quite some time. But hey, who knows? We may even get a little bit longer, assuming Argentina can get by Egypt in the first match today at noon Eastern for the World Cup slate today. Still got some hurdles. It was tough against Cape Verde. We'll see what they can do against the Pharaohs. But guys, before we head out of here, because there is one more topic I want to pick your brains about, and it's not about Messi, it's not about Neymar, it's not about Mbappe. It is about Ronaldo, who did announce that this was going to be his final World Cup. So at Polymarket, the trade was offered for quite some time if he would shed tears at some point in the tournament. So it was debatable if it had already happened. Maya was talking about it on the show yesterday. And then you really thought, of course, it was going to happen after they were falling to Spain when it was 1-0 and they eventually lost. Now, Adam, I know you texted me on the side and you sent a screenshot of a big prominent news outlet saying Ronaldo sheds tears after the loss to Spain. And everybody can see the tears in his eye. Yet Polymarket is taking the no on him crying. So they did not pay out if you traded yes on Ronaldo crying. And I believe the stipulation of it was you had to see visible tears going down his face, which I guess technically did not happen. It was, very watery in his eyes, but not coming down his face, Adam. I mean, how should this be ruled? Is this the correct move by Polymarket? Did you see anything different where there were actual visible tears? This is kind of nuts that this is such a big deal, but hey, that's kind of the fun and the things that keep you on your toes with these trading platforms.
I don't think it's fun at all. This is why, Danny, people say read the fine print and, house rules, if you will, if it were a book, all this stuff. Cormac used the word before, rigged. I think prediction markets are great. I think, a lot of the numbers that you get are great. I think there's a lot of money to be made in this space. We love what we're doing. This is a prediction market show. But I think there are a lot of riggable markets. And this that is so based and rooted in judgment is a riggable market in the sense that if it can be controlled as simply as whoever is directing the broadcast sitting in the truck saying, all right, camera one, take camera two, just in time to miss the visible tear streaming down the face. If that even happened, it may have just been a little, a couple of droplets kind of thing. That is, you're getting into the nitty gritty of just how much money are you willing to lose? Because again, remember, the objective in all of this for the markets and for books, it's not to make you money, it's to make themselves money. It's for you to be on the losing side of whatever you are wagering or investing or trading and what have you. And so if this is something that is so incredibly discretionary and controllable, that kind of goes against the spirit of what it is that we're doing here. And so yeah, I just think it's messed up. Again, to your point, if you have major sports news outlets declaring in print, in video, but without pics, or it didn't happen, I guess, that he's out there crying as he walks off the field at the end of the World Cup, which was the most obvious yes, because Ronaldo is a crier, which, by the way, not a criticism of Ronaldo. It's just him showing his emotion. He would have cried if they won. He cries if they loses. We've talked about that umpteen times here on the show in the past. That you knew he'd cry. That was an autoplay. But if you didn't see it, did it really happen? If a bear poops in the woods, but it's one of those stupid things. And so it's unfortunate. And to me, it's, people trying to get away with stuff ultimately.
Well said. I think that's pretty well said. I think the only thing is, if they're going to do a market like this, that's going to maybe be a bit subjective a little bit. I say, whoever it is that they have making this decision, I just think you should be able to know that. If you're going to put money in on it, I should know, okay, this is the guy doing it. No, he doesn't like the crying, so I'm not going to go with him, or he thinks they're going to cry. I want to have an idea. If you're going to make a subjective one, show me who's making the decision.
Oh, fair enough. Transparency is key, and people need it. They want it, and it certainly helps. But Adam, I think you put it very nicely when you said, when it's something like this in a market that can be manipulated to some degree, whether it's the broadcast not showing it, whether it's a subjective opinion determining it, you have to yourself determine how much you're willing to lose when it's something odd, like Ronaldo crying. And it's one of those markets that clearly has everybody up in arms. Was about $9 million worth of trading money on it. And the no is the resolution from Polymarket on Ronaldo crying, to which pretty much everybody else would agree that he was crying. I guess we just didn't actually visibly see it come down his face. But hey,
I'd like to see footage of all those people that were on the no, and on the yes, and see which ones of them are crying as a result of how this trade ultimately declared. Again, like this, as you both said, if it can be manipulated, do you really want to sink your money into it? We're talking about the daily call today. Mm-hmm. Colombia, is it going to win? Switzerland, is it going to win? And where you want to put your yes or your no or your draw. Like, you're going to know matter-of-factly the result at the end of the game and whether you won, whether you lost. If we have to dig deep into articles wondering whether or not a trade is hit for you, maybe it's just a market that's not worth your time.
Yep. Yeah, you may be right. He is Adam Kaufman, ladies and gentlemen, at Adam M. Kaufman, where you can catch him on X, Cormac, at Cormac_United, not only on TikTok, but Instagram. Fellas, great work as always, delivering the heat. You got the heads button today, Switzerland, Colombia, and that is where the daily call is revolving around as well. Cormac is siding with the daily call, which is Colombia to win in regulation, trading at 43%. Adam on the other side, and I tend to agree with Adam, just not as big of a fan of that. Heck, maybe Colombia wins, but perhaps it's an extra time. So the regulation scares me a little bit, and I know Adam's thinking a tad bit differently, liking Switzerland or even the draw in regulation to be a bit more valuable. But either way, folks, you can voice your own opinion at www.calledit.media. Put in your email. It's completely free, and you can subscribe to the newsletter. It gives you the daily call before we report it here on the record, gives you all the in-depth analysis revolving around it, and there you can also log your opinion, yes or no, whether you agree with the daily call. And other calls you can log on your own, and you can see how you stack up amongst everybody. I'm kind of creeping toward the top there. I know Adam was doing great, and Cormac's been crushing it all this time, so make sure you see if you can compete with us and everybody else who has hopped along and see your name at the top of the charts. But again, it is at www.calledit.media. But that's going to wrap it up for another edition of On The Record. Appreciate everybody chiming in, tuning in, Twitch, X, YouTube, wherever you are. Facebook as well. I know we're streaming there. We appreciate it. And make sure you continue to do so because we are going to continue to dish out some merch, hats, shirts, hoodies, all that cool swag. We have got you covered. So thanks again to everybody. Best of luck with your trades today, and we will see you again tomorrow. Same time, 11 a.m. Eastern, here on The Record.